here in my bed. So parks, safety in parks. Of course, it has been the topic of this morning, and it has been also quite a lot of focus of my own research. The kinds of things that we have been working in the past, not only here in Sweden, but also evidence that we gathered together with my previous PhD student, Asifa Equibal, and also with colleagues in Brazil. Originally, I'm from Brazil. I think it's somehow gives a background on the kinds of things that I wanted to say in these 7-8 minutes I have here. My talk is more like trying to put focus on a couple of aspects that I think is relevant in this field after working in a number of parks, but also places in between parks. So the topic of actually my presentations is actually safety beyond parks. And the challenges that we have when we work with these kinds of environments and in between them. The other aspect is also how we compare these places across different countries. Does it make any sense to compare statistics about women's victimization across countries? Maybe not. Sweden, Scandinavian countries, normally they are seen as examples, and so I will try to discuss a little bit about that. My own research looking at, for instance, in parks, we have seen that there is, of course, quite a lot to do in terms of crime prevention through environment design that you well known could be helpful for us, but also things that would be of relevance, which is basically the context in which these parks may exist, which I think is crucial. Why? Because in terms of planning intervention, we can do a quite good job trying to fix all the points that are problematic within parks. But what about the spaces in between parks and maybe hotspots of crimes, like train stations, area, the city center, inner cities, and so on? For girls that, for instance, live in the countryside, it is especially on the way to particular transport nodes that are actually places that they feel more unsafe and that they avoid. So again, I think even if we focus on parks here, which is basically the focus of this webinar seminar, I would call for a wider perspective, which would lead us to think about who are the responsible for these places. Is it the municipalities? Is it the transport operators? Or is it the park managers? So normally we are talking about a plethora of groups of people that or agencies that are responsible for these interstitial spaces that are relevant to make individuals, city users safe. I'm just wondering about my time. Do I still have a couple of minutes or?
Yes.
Okay. Of course, one of the things that I have been mentioned in terms of Sweden in particular is that Sweden and the Nordic countries has a long tradition in creating strategies and historically having legal resources to make perhaps women safer or individuals in general. Having said that, we see that still sexual harassment and women's victimization in public spaces is one big problem, in the sense that I say big here in relation to other problems, crime that women are victimized. It still is a big chunk. Stalking in particular. So it is in between places where women mostly feel unsafe and are victimized. So one thing that I wanted to say here is, when we are talking about parks and places in between them, we need to think about those statistics, but rarely those country statistics reveal the differences between victimization and safety along the trip. And this is problematic because, of course, Sweden and the Nordic countries can score quite well in terms of general safety for women. But when you look down and break down this into, crime types, you see that women is very much victimized and have their daily mobility affected by sexual harassment and sexual crime along, the trip from places to places. So I call here for a more nuanced perspective of women's in places and also country context, because it is far too much Sweden is taken, or the Nordics countries are used as a reference, but I would say that this is just one part of the story.
Great, thank you very much, Vania, and thank you for that